village near the foot of the Catskills Mountains lived young Rip Van Winkle. The villagers loved him because he helped everybody. Crop to be harvested, washing to be hung, Rip was everywhere, helping everyone. The village children felt no game was fun without Rip. Nobody played the ball or marbles the way Rip did. Nobody flew the kite like him. No game was fun without Rip. His own children, little Rip and Judith, adored him. One day, Rip climbed the mountains to watch the boats on the Hudson River. He sat there watching the beautiful sight till sunset. He did not realize how fast it grows dark in the mountains. He had heard many strange stories about the Catskills Mountains. One of the stories was of the old Dutch explorer Henry Hudson and his crew. The ghost crew comes to Catskills once in every 20 years. They play, have fun, and leave, said the old man. He tried running, but in the faint moonlight he could not find his way. As he stood sadly, Rip saw a stout Dutchman with short legs walking out of the bushes. He was carrying a keg. He looked to Rip for help. Rip took the keg and followed the man. The man hurried up the mountain. Rip found it hard to carry the heavy keg, but he didn't complain. He climbed higher and higher with the man. As suddenly as the Dutchman had appeared, he disappeared into a thicket. Rip looked around. In a clearing, he saw a number of Dutchmen playing the ninepins. The little Dutchman was there too. All men had small eyes and long beards. They wore high-heeled shoes with peaked-up toes. At every ball, as the pins would fall, the men would roll down and laugh, but not a sound was heard. Tired, Rip put down the keg and sat down to watch in amazement. Often the men would stop the game and drink from the keg Rip had carried. They offered a jug full of drink to Rip too. Thirsty, Rip smelled the drink. "This smells sweet. It must taste good," he thought, sipping. Slowly, a sweet sleep overcame Rip. When he woke up, the sun was high in the sky. "My children will miss me. I must run," he said, hurrying down to the village. When he entered the village, strangely dressed people looked at him curiously. Rip could not recognize anyone. He wondered, "Who are these people? And what's wrong with me?" It was then he looked down at himself. His clothes were very old, and he had grown a long grey beard. "What has happened? Where am I?" Rip wondered. He ran to his home. The roof had fallen in. The stable was empty. He hurried to meet his friends, but did not find any. The crowd followed him. "Does nobody know Rip Van Winkle?" he asked, disappointed. "That's my father's name. He went to the mountains one day and never returned," said a woman of 30. "Judith, I am Rip, your father," said Rip tearfully. "Father, where have you been for 20 years?" asked Judith, hugging the old man. 20 years? "I just slept," said Rip, quite astonished. "Slept?" asked his son, little Rip, now a young man, running in from the crowd to kiss his father. "Yes, my Rip, just slept as if it were just one night," said Rip, beginning his long story about the strange Dutchman on Catskills. The villagers heard the story over and over for many years.